The Face-Off Sports Network presents the Fantasy Football Face-Off. Get ready for fantasy, DFS, and betting talk to get you in the game. If you want to win, you have to tune in. With your host, Anthony Servino. Welcome to the Fantasy Football Face-Off.
All right. What's going on, folks? Welcome back to the FF Face-Off podcast, part of the Face-Off Sports Network. Today, we're going to be coming at you with the latest NFL news, what it means for the NFL, maybe your favorite teams, what it means for fantasy football, and most importantly, we will answer all of your questions in the live chat. So if you are there, say hello, stop by, hang out for a while. We'll answer all those questions, and we'll have a good time while doing it. My name is Michael Hoff. You could follow me on X at the FF Realist. I'm joined by the prodigal son has returned. The Godfather has returned from his trip to Ibiza. I got to say, maybe Pete agrees. Kind of shocked you're home. Kind of shocked you made it. His name is Anthony Servino. He can be followed at the Real NFL Guru. Anthony, darling, how are you, and how much did you drink and other things?
A lot. I'm good, and a lot to that other question. And
right.
Part of me wanted to throw my passport in the sea at my resort and never come back.
Amen. There you go.
But
that just means that you did it
there.
right. There you go. Yeah. We'll leave it there.
I need to go back. My wife and I, we want to go back already. Like, we were already planning on, okay, we don't have to stay in a nice resort because we just want to hit up the nightlife.
Yeah.
You know, we did that 2 nights, and
okay.
I need like a 5-night type of ordeal at Ibiza.
Should we do a rated R show where you can explain what happened, or just,
It would have to be, after dark.
After dark. Okay. There you go. That's a good idea for the there you go. We'll keep them up next time. Of course, joining us also, as always, is Pete Nova. He can be followed at Supernova38. He's got 2 R's. It's just how damn super he is. Pete, how's it going, man?
It's going all right. Not as my life has not been as exciting as Anthony's per se.
No.
But had a solid Memorial Day weekend. I always tend to actually be more tired during Memorial Day weekend or any long weekend where I have an extra day off from work. I end up being more tired than charged. But everything's all good on my side.
All right, there you go. I still haven't gotten used to the share broadcast button. So I'm still working that out, but since I'm hosting, I'll just do that. Well, when you guys answer the question, I'll work that out. Technical stuff behind the scenes. Anthony, let's get into it now, though.
Actually,
yeah, I know, right? It's weird for me. It used to be just very quick muscle memory. Before we get into, obviously, the big news of the day would be Jaylen Waddle and his contract extension. We will make we'll do a little bit of housekeeping, make an announcement. We have dates for our FF Face-Off Mental Health Podathon. 2-day event, 12 hours each day. Saturday, August 17th. Sunday, August 17th on the Saturday. Sunday, August 18th. We'll be talking NFL and raising mental health awareness. Again, for folks who don't know, we partner with Hayden Hurst and his family foundation, which supports a lot of mental health with youth, military, so on and so forth. So we are proud to be partnering with him once again. It's going to be a great time. We'll have a lot of guests from the fantasy football industry, a lot of guests from the NFL industry. We will also have we always like to get some psychiatrists or doctors that are in the mental health field. And of course, we will take donations during the Podathon, which again, will all go to Hayden Hurst and his family foundation. So there you go. 2-day event, August 17th, August 18th. Be there or be square. And we will start announcing guests as they roll in, which they will, because they always do. So there you go. Anthony, you ready to roll for another mental health Podathon?
Yeah, what is this, our 5th?
That's what I was thinking about it on the fly there. I mean, yeah, I think it's 5. I think
Yeah. And the goal this year, like I want to hit 25,000, and I think we're just over 20,000.
We're just over 20,000 in total donations during our run, which again is awesome. It's amazing. It's a feel good thing, and that's what we can use this platform for fantasy football, for NFL. We can help support mental health, because you should always do that. So there you go. And we're gonna have to weave in Pete there. So there you go. And we got Jamie saying, "What's up, guys? What's up? How you doing?
What's going on?"
So yes, he loves the Podathon. So do we. We love doing it. Last year, listened to the whole Podathon except he missed the first hour. Well, I mean, this year you can write that wrong, and you can make sure
That's
you get that
awesome.
other hour. Yeah, that's fine. But we appreciate the support, of course. And it's Nixty. Is it Nixty? Nexty? What's up,
think it's
gents?
Nate.
What's up? That's Nate. Okay. What's up?
Nate.
All right. So with that being said, we do have our mental health Podathon date now announced. We'll get into actual news here. Jaylen Waddle, another wide receiver, getting paid here, Anthony. 3 years, $84.75 million, 76 guaranteed. This now makes him one of the league's top 5 paid receivers. I keep going to, again, because it's just because I'm a fan of the team. I keep thinking, man, Brandon Ayuk is watching. But Warren Sharp had a tweet, which Anthony would affect you. He said, man, this is going to be something as far as CD Lamb and getting paid. So I will quickly go to you and just say, what are your thoughts there? Waddle getting paid. And what do you think that means for CD Lamb coming up?
I mean, when you see what these players are making, it was Devonta Smith, now it's Waddle, and they're really 1B receivers on their own teams. And you see the numbers that CD Lamb put up. And I think there's a conversation to be had that what CD Lamb is waiting for, he's waiting for the Justin Jefferson contract. I think CD Lamb sees himself a lot closer to a top 2 to 3 receiver in the NFL than a 1B on his own team. And I like Waddle, I like Devonta Smith, but they're not alphas where you can make a strong case. If CD Lamb has another season where he's fully healthy, and a similar season what he had last year, he might be the best wide receiver in the NFL. Because both Chase and Jefferson, who wore that crown before, they both dealt with injuries. CD Lamb, I don't think he's missed a game yet in his career, knock on wood. And he's been ascending every year since. So I think what CD Lamb's going to do, he's going to wait for that Jefferson contract.
Yeah, that would probably be best. I mean, that's what's going to be in his wheelhouse. I think that these other contracts we've been seeing lately have been more, again, which is what I've been saying, more on the Brandon Ayuk. I think that's the kind of number he's going to be eyeing. So there you go. So the plot will thicken. Pete, what says you? Jaylen Waddle getting paid. Now that means the Dolphins are one of, a handful of teams that are managed to pay 2 wide receivers top dollar, and they will soon have to pay a quarterback.
Yes, I think the Devonta Smith contract kind of paved the way for Waddle, and then to get this deal done. I think the important thing for people to note, and I think it's kind of gotten a little lost in the discussion, is this contract doesn't kick in until 2 years from now. So $28 million per year is what he'd be getting. But in 2 years, $28 million a year, he'll probably fall in wide receiver 15 territory, right? He's 5th now, but 2 years from now, CD Lamb will get paid. Jamar Chase will get paid. Ayuk is going to get paid. So there's going to be guys that are going to get paid in between now and then that I think this contract won't seem as outrageous as it does. And honestly, by the time the contract kicks in, Tyreek Hill might be gone at that point.
Yeah, I like that point you just made on Tyreek Hill. Now, if not retired, he might not be back in Miami. And all of a sudden, the Dolphins have their wide receiver 1 at what will be a discounted price.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, that's good point. One thing I do want to bring up here, we were just asked this, and I think this is interesting. I like to weave questions in here from Jeremy Spence there on Facebook. We enjoy that Facebook follow. We'll get that question there for sure.
We do.
Will Kyle Pitts lead tight ends in points? I'll give a quick answer, and then I'll kick it over to Anthony, and then we'll go to Pete. I would probably say no, but I will say that he will do better than he has in previous years. I just think that that I know it's a small tier there, but that top tier tight ends there will probably still outscore Kyle Pitts. But Kyle Pitts will be a lot more consistent this year, which is what you're really hoping for when you draft him at that price. Anthony, what says you? Kyle Pitts, is this the year where we see him break out like we've always wanted?
I've never been a big Kyle Pitts guy, not because of the talent. And I always say this, but I'm not a big guy for whatever. It's the situation. And his situation has never been ideal for a pass catcher with the Atlanta Falcons. So I've always faded him, especially at cost. Now the situation's completely different. I feel the same way about Drake London. Add Cousins, you add Zach Robinson and his system. All of a sudden, where's Kyle Pitts going in terms of tight ends? It looks like he can be a value. And if you just go back to, Kirk Cousins, well, the best tight end he's had in his career was TJ Hawkinson. And Hawkinson popped in a big way along with having an alpha like Justin Jefferson. So I think we're looking at a passing tandem. Cousins to Pitts, Cousins to London. They both can eat. This is going to be a high-octane offense. Robinson coming from that McVay tree. Bijan Robinson can pop this year. They have a deceptively really good offensive line. I would say top 3 to 5 in the NFL. So overall, this Atlanta Falcons offense should be, a top 10 or better unit, and Kyle Pitts will be a big part of it. I'm not ready to anoint him the top scoring tight end. That is still Travis Kelce until he retires.
Yes. And by the way, it'll be Travis Kelce, hopefully being uninjured going into the season. So, which he'll do a lot better than he did last year. But Pete, what says you? Kyle Pitts this year, is he going to be a top tight end?
I've never been a huge Kyle Pitts fan, but what I will say is people forget that the reason that Arthur Smith and Jonnu Smith was used so much last season is Arthur Smith likes tight ends that can block, and that just really wasn't Kyle Pitts. Arthur Smith came in and really just had him playing a role that just didn't really suit him post injury as well. So I don't think it's necessarily out of the question. I could definitely will myself into saying there's a possibility for sure, because outside of Drake London, I like Darnell Mooney and Rondell Moore, but Kyle Pitts could easily be the number 2 wide receiver on this unit. And if he is the number 2 on this unit, I could very well see him leading all tight ends. Is it going to happen? I wouldn't stake my claim on it, and I'd pick a couple of guys ahead of him, but I wouldn't say it's out of the range of outcomes for sure.
Yeah, I could see Pitts being second on the team in target share. But again, Anthony goes to that one thing that I've been saying to you for years, that favorite thing I love to say, competition at the position. Yeah. So that's why I think he does get edged out. But Pete, you make a great point. This is the opportunity for him to do so.
Kyle Pitts right now in the FFPC, which is tight end premium, he's still going as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tight end 7 off the board with a 38.5 ADP in your non-premium league, 61.4 on Underdog. No, I have him at tight end 7 right now.
No. I'm saying in past years.
You were paying a higher premium for Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, I would think, my point being is I think that price is going to have to go up, I would think, right?
Like the whole tight end market right now is a lot of hype. Laporta number 1 for Kelce. I have a big issue with that because Laporta had a big year touchdown wise. Kelce was tight end 1. Got for years going over 1,000 yards receiving. I think Laporta had 800, maybe 9. So we're really chasing touchdowns with Laporta. Plus, what is Jameson Williams going to do in that offense? Trey McBride, that was great before they added Marvin Harrison Jr. And they also added Zay. There's going to be fewer targets funneled to Trey McBride in that offense. Mark Andrews being severely discounted as a tight end 4. I can make a case for Dalton Kincaid possibly entering that Kelce role in Buffalo. And then you have Evan Ingram who's really nice with Trevor Lawrence, but I would take Pitts over Ingram. I would probably take Pitts over Kincaid.
Sure.
I'm not taking Pitts over Andrews, but is there a conversation to be had? If we're shooting for absolute ceiling, I would probably take Pitts over McBride and Laporta. I think the ceiling is higher if all things go the way they could go, and Kyle Pitts, generational talent, mismatch nightmare. I think he blows Laporta and McBride away if things go like if you give Kyle Pitts the Hawkinson treatment with Kirk Cousins, he's the fucking tight end one.
I'd push back. I'd push back on the McBride point slightly in that I actually think Marvin Harrison, he benefits more from Harrison being there. Last year we saw Hollywood Brown miss a bunch of games. Rondale Moore was never there. And you could say, yeah, that's kind of why Trey McBride got so many targets. But haven't we been saying the same thing for Travis Kelce the last few seasons, right? We've sat. Me. No, but I'm saying a lot of people have felt like, hey, Travis Kelce, there's no options there, so they're going to double team Kelce, right? The receivers aren't as attractive, right? And Kelce still found ways to get the ball, right? You could say the same with Trey McBride last season.
The guy named Patrick Mahomes plays a role.
Totally.
Too.
I listen. I totally understand it, but I think
doesn't go unnoticed.
I think Harrison will stress the defense out more than Hollywood and the rest of those players. That teams are going to be more focused on Harrison than they will McBride on a snap per snap basis. So. And Kyler is going to be playing a full season, so that's going to benefit. He'll be healthier. Yeah. So, but I think at the end of the day, we're in a very good time for tight end talent right now. And, it's really hard to give an edge for one guy over another because a lot of these guys, you can make the same argument with Mark Andrews, right? But some people will say, hey, Derrick Henry's going to steal goal line touchdowns, right? And that's the fear for some people as well. So, I'm okay I could be swayed a lot of different ways in the tight end conversations. But I will say your comment on Laporta is very valid. There's no way in hell that he's going to see that amount of touchdowns again this season.
Even Pitts, his best year, rookie year, went over 1,000 yards receiving.
Yeah.
Only one touchdown.
Only one touchdown. He only had the one touchdown. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, who was this? I don't know who his quarterback was.
Pitts, Matt Ryan. It might have been Matt. It might have been Matt.
Might have been Matt. I mean,
Mariota.
Matt Ryan
I don't know.
No,
it wouldn't have been Mariota.
That's this guy,
was Matt Ryan's
Kyle
song,
Pitts.
I think.
And again, I was never the Kyle Pitts stan talking this guy up like fantasy Twitter. But he realistically, we don't even know his quarterback's name, had over 1,000 yards receiving in his rookie year. It's there. And if it's going to happen, or I would say if it doesn't happen this year, it's never happening. But I think something happens this year.
Yeah.
Agreed. To jump back to Jaylen Waddle, because Pete did put that comment on the screen, which I did want to get to. Jamie did say this isn't as mind-blowing as Nico Collins being the 7th highest paid wide receiver and number 2 in guaranteed money behind Tyreek. We did get another comment saying Jaylen Waddle being a top 5 paid wide receiver absolutely blows my mind. To this, I would just simply say this is just
like
wide receivers taking advantage of the market. These guys are going to get paid. I don't know.
I'm a huge Nico Collins fan, so I'm happy. I'm ecstatic to see that he got paid. To be honest,
I'm happy he got paid too. But I mean, to the people who said, "Man, I can't believe these guys are getting this money." This is what it happens. These guys get paid the money. I reference it all the time. It's when Jimmy Garoppolo was the highest paid quarterback for a couple months. It's not so much that they deserve it; it's that they're the next guy to get paid, and that's the market, and they shoot for the market. That's it.
Yeah.
And are we talking about Nico at any point today?
I don't think he's not on there, but we could talk about him. Yeah,
we could talk about it.
I mean, we don't have to. I just want to say this solidifies a lot of people, because you're either on the Diggs is going to be the guy, Nico is going to be the guy. That contract for Nico Collins solidifies he's the future there. This is probably a one and done thing for Diggs. So you really should be drafting Nico as the wide receiver 1 in Houston. That's all. That's all I gotta say.
Three
No, I agree.
3-year, $72.5 million contract for Nico Collins.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's going to be, Ayuk's looking at that number. It's going to be probably a little bit higher than that, but around there, that's what's going to happen. Listen, I get bombarded on X, Anthony. Don't be shaking your goddamn head. Not to mention, you always send me texts busting my balls saying he's not going to be there anymore. Steelers fans being salty. Oh, let's see what happens when Purdy's not good anymore and this guy's retired and that guy's not good. Shut up, you salty idiots. Find another receiver. Jeez, Pittsburgh, you guys are supposed to be tough. Soft like cotton. Anthony, what do you got?
I don't got anything. I'm just waiting for you to finish 49ers standing.
I finished. But it'll be back. Pete?
You're like fucking Skip Bayless of this show.
It just has to bring it back to his team.
It's the most insulting thing you've ever said to me.
Well, hey, if he's a Skip Bayless, that would bring in viewership. So, I mean,
that's true, actually. So then you're welcome. God damn it.
Yeah,
anyway,
we appreciate
Pete,
that.
I'm
Thanks,
sorry.
Paul.
You were gonna see. You look like you were gonna say something.
I was just gonna say that I agree to Anthony's point. I think there was a lot of talk when Diggs came in. Everyone says Tank Dell is the guy for Stroud as well because Stroud has talked about him in podcasts and all this stuff. And for some reason, Nico Collins, people seem to forget. I mean, he was 9th in yards per reception last year. Yards per target, he was 3rd. This guy can run pretty much every route on the route tree. His yards per route run was 2nd in the NFL, which was one of my favorite fantasy. I actually posted on X today about like what my favorite like indicators and statistics are to look at for drafting a player, and yards per route run is like one of my favorites, and he was 2nd. If you look at the list of players in the NFL and look at the list in fantasy, all the top guys that are finishing high as wide receiver ones and borderline wide receiver ones, they're all up there in yards per route run. Collins, this is his wide receiver room. I don't care what Diggs has. I don't care about the alpha and all that stuff. I'm scared about Stephon Diggs this year. I really don't know what to expect with him.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was gonna piggyback what Anthony was saying was that this contract does kind of say Collins is the guy, but I mean, you look at last year that target share was 19% for Nico, 13% for Tank Dell, 10% for Noah Brown, and even 13% for Robert Woods of all people. I just think that all of these guys are going to eat into each other. So I think that's going to lower whatever value you thought you were getting from Stephon Diggs from what you were used to in Buffalo. That's going to get dwarfed. I mean, Nico may be the guy that comes out of it with the best stats, but I think the target shares are all going to be kind of close to one another. It's going to be one of those offenses that's booming, but you're not always going to know. Say you're playing DFS, you won't always know which Texas wide receiver to pick in that given week.
Yeah.
So,
and honestly, this is a defense that is taking a step forward. They made a lot of additions in free agency. They built through the draft yet again, and they have a defensive-minded head coach. I don't know. They're not going to be playing in a lot of shootouts, in my opinion. So that's also going to shrink the opportunity for fantasy points. And they brought in a clear-cut upgrade at running back as well. So I would expect them to run the football. So we have one other question here, and then why don't we jump in? Yeah, so we'll pull this one up.
Love answering questions. Answering questions is that's part of the fun stuff of being here. Last Shinobi says, which out of the top 3 rookie QBs are you most comfortable drafting in a dynasty league? I will go to you first, Pete. Only because I need some time before I go to Anthony because I got to think of a way to weave the 49ers into this conversation. Go ahead.
Well, number one, I like the YouTube name. I'm a big Naruto fan, so just wanted to compliment you there. This is you go one or two ways here. It's Jaden Daniels or Caleb, right? I think if you are a team that needs a higher ceiling in, say, Dynasty, then I'm probably taking. I prefer Jaden Daniels for the ceiling, right? If you don't have upside at your second quarterback, but if you have a really good quarterback one, then I prefer Caleb Williams because the floor is higher, and I think his longevity in his career will be longer. So it really depends for me. I don't want to just give the straight just Caleb Williams take. So I'm trying to give.
But that
I'm trying
is
to give
kind
a
of the
little bit,
answer.
but
I mean,
yeah.
I
If
mean,
I was
I would.
going to take Daniels, I would think it's like, hey, like you have a quarterback who like take a Brock Purdy for no, I'm just kidding. No, but if you have a quarterback that's finishing in that like 12 to 15 range, like
Yeah.
that wouldn't be bad to bring in Daniels if you're looking to swing the for the fences, in my
No,
opinion, because of the
I
rushing.
mean, I don't mind the Daniels opinion, and I get you trying to weave that in so that this way, it's not just, but
yeah,
I mean, it would be Caleb Williams for me. I just think the talent around him. He doesn't have a ton of. I get it, he's a rookie, but he doesn't have a ton of excuses going into year one. And also, by the way, it was announced the Bears will be on Hard Knocks. So there you go. And Anthony,
choice.
see, Jamie says he loves when people bash the Steelers. So I was
Good.
just bashing the Steelers, and he
All right.
appreciates that. But Anthony, what says you? The top three rookie quarterbacks, which are you most comfortable with in a dynasty league?
Probably Caleb Williams, and for all the reasons everybody says every day. The talent around him, you can't escape it. There's a but here. J.J. McCarthy is a wild card. And if we're saying in one breath with Caleb Williams, we love the talent around him, he's going to hit. Can't we say the same thing about J.J. McCarthy? Yes, there are some flaws there, primarily that he didn't throw a lot in college. But can we really put that ding on J.J. McCarthy? Because the same people, a lot of the same people saying that, well, J.J. McCarthy didn't throw a lot in college are probably the same people that love Trey Lance, who didn't have a lot of playing time in college and obviously didn't win as many games. So if we have to, let's play fair here. So if you want to pay up in Dynasty, yeah, Caleb Williams. But let's say if this isn't a startup, it's a rookie draft, you're set at your quarterback position and you're looking ahead. Let's say you have Kirk Cousins. I wouldn't mind drafting drafting J.J. McCarthy and not paying up for Caleb Williams, Jaylen Daniels. If I'm comfortable, let's say I have a quarterback that I'm going to be good with for 2 to 3 years, I will take the discount with J.J. McCarthy because the talent around him, Kevin O'Connell, the system, why not buy into it? Because either way, nobody's a guarantee. Caleb can fall on his face like Josh Rosen. Caleb can also play like C.J. Stroud. We don't know. We've never seen these guys in NFL field. But I love the supporting cast for both J.J. McCarthy and Caleb Williams. So I guess if I need the more sure thing, because let's say I fucked up and I took Bryce Young last year, and you need to try to salvage yourself in your dynasty league. Yeah, I'm going to go take Caleb Williams. But if you're good at quarterback, let's say you have Cousins or one of those guys, then
sure,
I'm good taking J.J. McCarthy, because if you whiff, you still have Cousins for a few more years anyway.
And you're not saying he's not saying take Caleb at the 101. You'd obviously trade back. I mean, I'm not saying take JJ at the 101. You'd obviously trade back.
Yeah, he's cheaper, significantly cheaper.
Yeah,
for a dynasty
I
quarterback.
agree. Yeah, and this guy, he's got Allen and Fields, so you're hurting there at QB2.
Is it super flex though?
I would assume so. If he's looking to draft a third quarterback, but I could be wrong.
We are seeing in response to Anthony's comments, Fred Bird did say JJ's tape is mid. If he wasn't on a stacked roster, he would have been a 6th-round pick. To which I say, you enjoy your stay in the land of hypotheticals, and when you want to come back to us, we'll be here. So there you go.
I mean, Brock Purdy. I'll bring it to Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's tape is probably mid. Tom Brady's tape was probably mid.
JJ McCarthy had a lot of tools, though. I mean, and they said he had a photographic memory. I mean, this dude is sharp mentally. So
that only makes me want JJ McCarthy to succeed more. So,
yeah. Last Shinobi also said 1 quarterback league. He said also a Pats fan, so I was biased on my May pick. Honestly,
I was going
Go
to
ahead.
ask that question. No, I was going to just do. It's just funny that comment came in. I was just
Yep.
going to do a quick round about the room, and Pete, you can go. I was just going to say you're in 2-quarterback league. Does Drake May interest you at all under any circumstances, or Dynasty league, whatever? Does he interest you at all?
Okay, so if we're
Give me
talking
both.
dynasties, Dynasty Superflex. I mean, I passed on Drake May for McCarthy in my league, so that answers the question there. I do have Mahomes and Brock Purdy, so I could afford to swing for the higher upside because I think he's in a better offense. The one thing I will say too is, and I'd love to know, but remind me who has out of all the rookie quarterbacks, who has the best offensive coordinator? This isn't a Sean Payton, Bo Nix, so I'm not saying that.
No,
but out of the
not at all.
guys we've discussed, who has the best offensive coordinator?
Well, I
/
would
head
talk
coach?
about the offensive mind in Minnesota, kind of like what Anthony
Right.
was mentioning, with Kevin
Right.
O'Connell.
So if there's any
I would go.
guy that you would trust to be able to plug a guy in and help him, succeed and has the best weapons, I mean, I wouldn't say is the best weapon. Chicago is pretty loaded there too, but not that far off. And the Minnesota offensive line is stacked with talent.
Yes.
So, but
Anthony,
neither here nor there.
I was saying, I don't
No, I
even
like
know
it.
where
Dig
I
it.
am with Drake May. I don't have a clue
Yeah.
because I like the prospect, but like I pull up the Patriots. I literally have it in front of me, and it's like, they got rid of Bill Belichick to hire a younger Bill Belichick.
Mm-hmm.
What did
Yeah,
Gerard
pretty much.
Mayo do to this roster that differs
One with less
from
of an
what
ego, but yeah.
Bill Belichick did?
Yeah.
They're KJ Osborne.
Jalen Polk.
I mean, KJ Osborne was their splash wide receiver edition.
Yeah. And Jalen Polk.
And KJ's a good blocking wide receiver. That's what he does really well. Like I feel like Mayo could be. Like, you got to remember, this guy not only played under Belichick but coached under Belichick. So you literally just hired a younger version, maybe. I mean, if it worked out and he was another Belichick, that's obviously great for New England.
Well, yeah,
we may
now looking at this roster, it's like,
we may not even see May play a game this year. I don't think it'd be that crazy if Brissett is playing well enough and they're middle of the pack, like staying around 500. It wouldn't surprise me if Brissett holds that job down until maybe a couple games where they're out of it at the end of the year.
I would only say no because I don't trust Brissett to stay healthy the whole year.
That's fair.
What's even crazier, as I'm going on this is literally a Bill Belichick roster rant. Antonio Gibson is literally Kevin Falk. And anybody old enough to know who Kevin Falk is, he was a primary pass catching back in the Belichick Brady offense. That's all Antonio Gibson does too.
I have Gibson in Dynasty, so that would make me very happy if
yes, it's a Bill Belichick clone, but in terms of NFL purposes, it's a Bill Belichick clone that is without the ego and more controllable. You can control him more. At least the Patriots, I'm saying. We'll mention this one last thing, and then we'll get on to some other stuff again.
I want the Patriots to be good again for what I think that's good for the league.
Yeah, I mean, I'm cool with it. I don't mind.
Yeah, me Broncos too.
Sure. See, well, Anthony, you want to criticize him for weaving the Broncos in? No?
Yeah.
No,
we're talking about irrelevant franchises at the moment. Broncos and the Patriots have had a pretty hard fall from grace. So, the NFL needs
Broncos have grace for a minute with Peyton Manning.
Come on, they've been to 8 Super Bowls.
That's mean spirited. What are you doing there? What's that all about?
Come on, show some respect.
Jesus, would you leave your charming fucking Ibiza? God, Anthony, what are you doing? Last Shinobi said, I also just traded Hill for AJ Brown and the 1.2, which I'm going to get Neighbors. I'll draft whatever QB is left for me at 1.7, which will probably not be Caleb Williams. Obviously,
my comment.
Unless people are in a coma.
I was going to make a pretty inappropriate joke about this comment because how you possibly even would pull this off to get AJ Brown on the 1-2 for Hill. I mean, that's phenomenal.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah,
that's
I don't know if they. Yeah,
I was reading it, not thinking, but yes, now that I'm looking at it, yeah, I want to, yeah.
He
Yeah.
could realistically get JJ McCarthy at 1.7.
Are you in a league with a bunch of grandmas? Like, what are you doing? What's going on, Shinobi?
Yeah. All right. Well, let's back up. My dad's here. He said Broncos aren't irrelevant. Thanks, Pops.
Broncos are not irrelevant. There you go.
I literally thought that was you commenting.
I thought it was you commenting too. I was gonna say, geez, all right, you could just say it on the mic. It's fine. And grannies are hot, he says. So I know some are. Yes, sure. Sure. I'm down with that. You have enough drinks, I'm down with that. We'll get into some other wide receivers here. Pete, you had put into the notes T. Higgins and Jamar Chase not showing up for OTAs. Is there a level of concern? Anthony, I'll go to you first in this one. I mean, Joe Burrow, we've heard glowing things. His hair looks wonderful, even though there's a particular NFL insider on this app that has me blocked that said Joe Burrow will never be the same because his bones won't heal that never actually fucking broke. But Anthony, is there going to be any potential issues with these wide receivers not showing up right away? Offense not in a groove right away. Is there any concern from you on that?
No. And reason being, I mean, Jamar Chase has been prolific, has battled injuries a couple years, and I think he has 1 or 2 years left on a rookie deal with the club option. And then T. Higgins, like, he can talk all he wants on Twitter. You don't show up, you're probably going to get fined.
Yeah, you will.
And I don't see anything happening here except everybody's going to show up to camp. I don't know if they'll do anything. That they could be one of those, the players who stand there and don't do anything when it's time to play football games. Both Chase will definitely be on a field. I don't think he has a big time place to hold out with which again, I believe 2 years left on that deal. T. Higgins, what the hell have you done in the NFL?
Yeah.
What have you done?
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
that's why
it's not as bad, but it's like when Darius Slayton was bitching about his contract. Who cares?
Hey, he did get it reworked today, Darius Slayton.
Hey, there you go. It
just wasn't big enough news to make it.
Keep your feet in the ground. Keep reaching for the
stars. At least we can give a slight drop in there so he can get some love.
I'm not saying T. Higgins is Darius Slayton, but like
I understand.
To me, if you're gonna hold, it's like when J.K. Dobbins, didn't he threaten to hold out or something? Like, get out of here. If you want to hold out, you better do something.
That was a stay upright for 10 weeks, and then we'll have a conversation. But
I mean, I don't get it.
Well, I think with T. Higgins and this kind of holding out, which again, this won't extend too far, but I think it's a product of maybe his agent and just that general idea of, let's be honest, if let's say tomorrow morning, T. Higgins is just a outright free agent. There's going to be several NFL teams that will, Anthony, rightfully or not, they're going to throw a lot of money at him. So maybe he stands on that and says, I should hold out. I want to get paid by this team, and this is what he does. Or I'm not going to show up to OTAs. I mean, what he's had at least 5 touchdowns in all 4 seasons so far. 1,000 yards in 2 of them.
So
last year, only 42 receptions.
Keep going.
I'm kind of with you in saying.
We just read to me Tyler Boyd's resume.
Yeah. I know. No, fair. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just.
Tyler Boyd literally had 2 back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons with 5 and 7 touchdowns, and he's been on a decline since.
I never thought about it in terms of like when you just said, why are you holding out? Like, why are you not showing up? It just suddenly makes sense to me that maybe he should be there at OTAs. Yeah, but I ultimately do agree. I don't think there's a concern here. I think Joe Burrow is just that good. I don't think these guys aren't there that long to screw up any kind of momentum that they would have going into the season. I think it'll be just fine. I think Joe Burrow will deal. I just worry about those bones that never broke. So that's it. Other than that, I think Bengals offense will be just fine. Pete, you on board with that?
Yeah, I'll make the last comment and then we'll move on.
Yeah.
But for Higgins, I'm in lockstep with you guys. I don't look. He has to. So he's on the tag, right? So technically, he doesn't have to show up, right? He's technically not even an employee of the Cincinnati Bengals until he signs the franchise tag. So he
True.
won't get fined, but he can pretty much hold out up until week 1, like Josh Jacobs did last year. But now for Jamar Chase, like once the mandatory mini camps start and he's not there, that's when fines will kick in. They're going to get the deal done with Jamar Chase, whether it's now, whether it's later. But what I would say is the Waddle deal, the CeeDee Lamb deal, the Ayuk eventual deal, like the Bengals are going to want to do this soon. He's only under contract till 2025. That's the option that they picked up for Chase. So I think the Bengals get this deal done with him sometime this offseason. T. Higgins, in my opinion, can kick rocks. I mean, he's always hurt. He's always banged up. He's done nothing. I mean, Jaylen Waddle has at least put up 3 straight seasons with over 1,000 yards. I mean, Higgins has best season. He's put up 1,091 yards. I mean, I'm not going to knock that, but like, they're giving you a franchise tag where he's going to make like middle $20 million, 25, I think, somewhere in that. And I don't understand I get the security part and guys want that security, but like you're getting 25 million guaranteed. That it's guaranteed full. So I don't think they'd get the deal done with Higgins. I really wouldn't be surprised if he's not there. I think they're gonna shop him. I really do, because he's making all the cryptic posts on socials lately. I just think that their problem is they're just not getting enough back for what they want for him, and that's what's going to hold this up. But I feel like there's a pretty solid chance that Higgins doesn't end up reporting, in my opinion, because he's not getting an extension.
No, he's not getting one right now.
I mean, he's not getting one at all with them ever.
I think he plays.
He will not get an extension with them ever.
I think he plays unless
he gets hurt.
And
then they sign him to a cheaper deal. Sorry.
He's going to play for the Bengals this year. If they are not a Super Bowl contender, they move him at the deadline. If they are a Super Bowl contender, they try to make the run. Either way, T. Higgins is out next offseason.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm down with that. Okay, there you go. One other thing, well, not one other thing, but another thing I wanted to get to before we get to anything else is Josh Jacobs, bell cow or potential victim of being in a committee. Matt LaFleur did say on Josh Jacobs, I do think he's very capable of being a high volume back. He has been a high volume featured back where he's getting the bulk of the carries, but we'll see how it plays out. I'll simply say this: I'm in a keeper league where I had an opportunity to. Long story short, I needed to get some draft picks back. I was able to trade Josh Jacobs for another player and a pick, and that was kind of my deciding factor. Was I said, is Josh Jacobs going to get the kinds of touches that? I mean, there was that one year with the Raiders in particular where he got a slew of touches, and I didn't see it. And it's not anything against Jacobs. It's more so the way the Packers offense is constructed, and it's going to be around Jordan Love now. Jordan Love has proved that he could do it. So I pulled the trigger on that trade. I made it. To me, this all is going to stem down to ADP. As far as what the investment's going to be on draft day, I don't think he's a bell cow. He might be better than the rest in Green Bay, but yeah, so I'll go with that. Anthony, what says you on this front? Josh Jacobs, bell cow or committee?
Been very vocal about how I feel about Josh Jacobs all off season in this landing spot. I am totally out at cost right now. LaFleur had prime Aaron Jones, and he didn't even get bell cow treatment. But all of a sudden, and he was conceding touches to Jamal Williams. And if you take away that dream touchdown season in Detroit, Jamal Williams is a borderline roster cut every year. Let's be real here on Jamal Williams. They re-signed A.J. Dillon. They didn't have to do that. They drafted one of the better running backs in the NFL draft. And now LaFleur is saying, yeah, this guy's capable, right? You've seen his stats when you signed him. And now
We'll
we're
see.
talking about a 2 to 3 headed monster committee. If you're drafting Josh Jacobs thinking you're going to get the workload, because if you look at Josh Jacobs, his efficiency metrics were never really good. He's a
I was
volume
thinking, by the
running
way,
back.
of that. I was thinking, by the way, of that 2020 year, 2022, where he got 340 attempts, which is like crazy.
Yeah.
But that's probably in the head of some people. That's what I'm saying.
But what did you get last year?
You're not getting that.
233 and 37.
233. Yep.
So if you didn't give Aaron Jones the treatment when his number 2 was Jamal Williams, you're not going to give Josh Jacobs the treatment. And Aaron Jones, by the way, for anybody listening, his max carry season was 2019 with 236. Since 2020, he's had fewer than 213 carries in a season, including 2 under 171. Yes, he catches a lot of passes, but I just don't see the workload treatment.
Those are literally the numbers I looked at before I traded Josh Jacobs. Those were literally the numbers I looked at, and I said, "Yeah, okay, this ain't gonna be a thing. He's out. Fine." Pete, what says you're making a face like as if you might be with us?
Yeah, I mean, even to add to LaFleur's comments, I mean, he also said that typically they like to platoon their guys, whether it's 2 or 3 players. To Anthony's point, he's Jacobs was I mean, the only thing I'd say is he did only have 233 rush attempts, but he did miss the final month of the season last year, so that also kind of affected that. But the thing is, he dealt with probably his most significant injury last year with the quad. And I'm not concerned about this, but he has a hamstring injury right now. Now they're saying it's not an issue. But I just, every time I hear hamstring injuries, like whether it's minor or not, like
It's not an issue until it's an issue.
Yeah, I seize up though. Like it's like,
sure.
Like I hate hearing that word, that phrase. So yeah, they're going to go with a committee. And in my opinion, it's just like the Rashod White thing for me. If Rashod White loses volume, I'm out, right? Same with Jacobs. If Jacobs is not going to get that kind of volume, like Anthony said, like he had the number 1 opportunity share in all of football for running backs last year. Number 1. And he still only managed to be 18th in fantasy points per game last year. And that was with an upgraded Raiders offensive line last year. They were actually significantly better than the year prior. So that's all I got to say on that. I'm out on him for now.
The PSA, yeah, I hear you. The PSA I would put out there before Anthony, before you have any final comments. This is why I always say, and this is why you stick with the FFA Soap which again, go to FFAsoap.com, or you can go to YouTube, subscribe to us, follow us, enjoy us, like the videos. But throughout the summer, it's going to be curious to see where that ADP goes. If people start to feel as all 3 of us do about Josh Jacobs, maybe that ADP goes down. Maybe he enters an area in which you're okay to draft him. But as it stands right now, we are all not on board. But Anthony, what says you? Did you have any other final comments or no?
No.
Oh, you're good. Okay, he's good. Anthony's good. Anthony's great. Another thing I want to mention here that Pete put in the notes, Rashod Bateman. It's being reported by some of the beat writers out there that he's listed as an early breakout candidate. I mean, I only wanted to bring this up because Ravens wide receivers, I've just never been able to really buy into them at a top price. I'm never really I don't want them to be my wide receiver 1 for sure, or my wide receiver 2, not since the days of Anquan Bolden. Is this the year, or is there ever a year, Anthony, in which we're buying into a Ravens wide receiver with any kind of seriousness in fantasy?
I mean, for what?
I mean, for any kind of consistency.
No,
I'll say it that way. I'm
going to buy into Mark Andrews. That's who I'm buying into. That's the wide receiver on the Ravens.
Yeah.
Like, Javon Baker, was that his name? No, that's the Patriots rookie. Who's the Ravens rookie receiver?
Zay
That they brought in? No,
from last
this year.
From last year.
This year.
Oh,
Montez Walker.
Yeah,
I'm sure he'll get some camp hype.
And I love Zay
last
Flowers too, by
year-
the way. But
Last year was supposed to be the year with Monken.
Yep.
It still looked like the typical Ravens offense most of the time.
And when they forced themselves to throw the football in the playoffs, they lost because they tried to be something that they're really just not,
right.
I mean, and
No,
then they
and
bring
they-
in Derrick Henry.
And that bring in Derrick Henry is kind of a declaration to say that we're righting that wrong, which means they plan to stick with that method this time. So I mean,
I'm not even in on Zay Flowers.
No,
Yeah,
not
I
either.
mean, I like Zay Flowers and all, but I don't want him as
He's a nice
my,
receiver, but he's not going to emerge as this special talent in this offense. I don't see it.
Yeah,
I just wanted to pull this. I just wanted to pull it up so we didn't miss it. We don't have to spend too much time on it.
No. We always like to mention the questions. Uncle Jamie, if you watch what movie's that? I forget. Who cares? He says, "Can you explain why Alexander Madison last season, Alexander Madison, for those who aren't in on it on the joke, was going as the RB 18 to 20, and now they upgraded to Aaron Jones, and his current ADP is RB 18. Doesn't make sense to me." I would chalk that up to Jamie. When you look at these ADPs, you're not getting a lot of people drafting yet. That's going to start to trickle in here as we're on the threshold of June. People will start drafting, in some of these, FFPCs and so on and so forth. July, obviously, things will ramp up. So I think that's one of those things that will kind of level itself out. So I wouldn't get too hung up on it right now.
Aaron
Anthony
Jones is one of my all-in running backs this year. I think he outscores in fantasy Josh Jacobs. We can put a pizza bet on that one. I'm all in. And Mike's right when it comes to ADP early off season. The wide receivers, if you draft, and I'm a running back early guy a lot of the times. I have done a few drafts where by round 7, you're looking at wide receiver 3s on some teams. And as the offseason goes, I feel like people come out of the coma and realize running backs do matter a little bit. And we start seeing that ADP adjust. I don't know if we're going to see. I hope to God I'm still getting Aaron Jones at RB 18 all offseason because I will take him because I'm not a zero running back guy, but if I can get, I have some Kelsey Mahomes, whatever wide receiver I get in the first, and then I'm walking out of the draft with my first 2 running backs as Aaron Jones and Najee Harris. I will take that every single time. Nick Chubb going round 8, 10? I don't even know where the hell he's going.
He's why
not? That sounds about right.
He's in the he's early hundreds in best ball. Chubb, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah.
There's Zamir White buried. Zamir White going after Aaron Jones and one spot before DeAndre Swift.
Whom, by the way, is getting starter reps. So there you go.
Zamir White is assuming that Josh Jacobs' role everybody fucking loves. But they're drafting him light years later. I tell you, fantasy football is not hard. If you have a brain, not hard. I'm not smarter than anybody listening. I promise you.
No, you are very smart, but you are right in the sense that this isn't that difficult. You just pay attention to the news, you pay attention to the trends, you watch what's what, you watch some average draft position, and voila, you can make it happen.
James Conner going 82nd off the board.
Yeah, I
coming off a career year.
Yeah,
I love James Conner.
Me too. There you go. It's good insight from this show. All right. We're headed up on an hour. Do we have anything else we want to mention? Kittle just said, I don't. It's only because it's in the notes. Anthony, Pete put it there, not me. Kittle played through core injury last year, still managed over 1,000 yards receiving. I would just simply say, as much as I love Kittle, and I do, obviously, because he plays for the Niners, in terms of fantasy, there's other tight ends that you are drafting that high, which we discussed at the top of the show, that I think are more consistent. Kittle gives you those games where he gives you 25 points or 30 points out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden he's got a few weeks where it's like 5, 7, like nothing crazy. So I mean, I think it's great that he was able to play through that, but in terms of fantasy, I don't think that means that you should say, well, now he doesn't need core surgery. He's going to be great. There's other tight ends to draft. Even as a diehard Niner fan, I will not have Kittle on a ton of my teams.
It's crazy. What is crazy to me, FFPC ADP right now, Kittle's actually going behind Jake Ferguson. He's going as a tight end 9 in tight end premium.
As he should.
I think that's
as he should. As he should.
Wow. We want to do a pizza bet that Kittle has more points than Jake Ferguson?
Yeah, I will go pizza bet for sure.
Shit.
Yeah.
Thanks for the pizza, dude. That's very nice.
Listen, here's the thing with George Kittle, and I love George Kittle.
I just got to get that 130-point game and I fucking got you, but go ahead.
Listen, I love George Kittle. The problem is he's too good of a blocker. He's too damn good as a blocker. There's too many times where he's phased out of game script, and
that's why he has those games where he doesn't score a lot of points.
Yeah, but Jake Ferguson has a real opportunity here to be the number 2 receiver on this team. The Cowboys threw the ball at one of the highest volumes in the NFL last year. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but we've talked about this before on the show. They threw I think they were 8th. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I think they were 8th in total pass attempts last year. Their running back room stinks. Okay, so I just can't imagine that they're going to lean on Zeke and Dowdle as the bell cow backs.
Oh man, the hell
that's a good one.
What is this picture?
Which one's me?
I don't know. I just pulled this off of fucking Google.
What's this? Fuck am I looking at? What the hell was that? Jesus! All right, cool.
Dressed up like Ginger Turtles with pizzas. Pizza bag.
Okay, it's a pizza bet.
I had to find the most awkward picture I could find.
Next time, just ask me before the show to
Google.
Next time, ask me before the show to make a graphic.
On it.
I literally forgot about the graphics you gave me.
I know you did. I didn't see one of them the whole show.
You could have texted me in a private chat, like, "Hey,
I was busy.
I'm still getting used to StreamYard."
Yeah, well, you're also still on vacation, but we'll choke up too. There you go. Yeah. Anyway, be that as it may.
Either way, regardless, Ferguson, wide receiver 2. I don't give a shit about the Jalen Tolbert conversation. I like that. That's what's being talked about now because they didn't bring another receiver in. Anthony, I mean, is anybody going to step up in this room? I know Brandon Cooks is there, and I know Hoff likes Cooks. He's solid, but like, I mean, is anybody else going to step up in this room that you can honestly think of?
I like Tolbert. I do think there could be something there, but no, Jake Ferguson should be one of the higher targeted tight ends in football this year. Dak Prescott always produces, as long as they're healthy, really good fantasy tight ends.
Just to be fair, not like I care, which I meant to say that like that. Is this half point or full point with this pizza bet? What are we doing?
I prefer full point. But because that just helps me. I mean, if it is full point, does it make you nervous? Does it make you nervous if we go? Well, Anthony, what were the rankings based on?
Yeah, what are the parameters?
Those are FFPC tight end premium ADP.
Okay, so that's tight end premium. So that's I mean, we don't have to do tight end premium. I was assuming PPR, but I mean, we could go tight end premium too if you want.
We'll do PPR.
Okay.
Is that okay with you? Is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine. That
I still appreciate your donation. Very nice of you. I look forward to that pizza. It's going to taste fantastic. Anthony, where would you go? Quickly as we get ready to round out the show, where would you go there? You're not involved in the bet. You don't have to be, but would you go Jake Ferguson or George Kittle?
Probably Kittle.
Wow.
And I love Ferguson. I just don't know if
I like Ferguson too.
Kittle has those big years. I don't know if he's going to have that big year.
He has those big games. That was like that game against Jacksonville where he scored that 70-yard touchdown in the second half. Like that, it took his day from being like 5 points to being like 15, 17 points by the end of it. That's what his game is.
What are we talking about? A collective fantasy finish. Kittle was a tight end 5 last year.
Yeah, I know. Pete's going to give me a pizza. It's very nice of him. I appreciate it.
The only caveat I'd say is if either of them misses 6 or more games, we'll void. Is
Sure.
that fair?
I mean, yeah.
Because that
Ferguson
probably
tight
helps
end
you
9
out
for the
more than
Colts.
me. Probably helps you out
That's
more than
why.
me because Kittle
That's
gets
why I
banged up a
said
little
I'm
bit
in.
more.
Yeah. No, Kittle always gets dinged up here and there. That's why no one should be surprised that he was dealing with that core injury. Anyway, had a lot of fun today getting through a lot of the chats, which, by the way, if you check us out on Facebook, if you check us out wherever, always get involved in these chats. We love interacting with you guys. It always makes for good conversation. You guys are usually pretty spot on with some of your takes, so love to bring it up and answer your questions about trades or roster construction, so on and so forth. But yeah, Anthony, I think we're pretty much set for today, right?
Yeah, we're good to go.
All right. Well, so there you go. So we will leave it at that. Great show today. Until next time, stay thirsty, be kind to one another. We'll catch you on the flip side. Cheers.